God is sending this message directly to you as there is something extremely important He wants to share that has the potential to change your life forever. Please have faith and pay close attention to this message. Your connection with the divine consciousness of the angel has brought you a heavenly message, a sign that you are being protected and guided by divine consciousness. If you believe that, subscribe to our channel to stay connected and receive more guidance. Along my journey, I realized that the difficult seasons in life were honestly the most important for my personal growth. It wasn't the moments of success and pleasure that made me evolve, but the challenges and difficulties I faced. Now, listen carefully. I'm not asking for hard times, nor do I like going through rough seasons. Trust me, I'm not asking for that. However, I recognize that it was precisely in these complicated circumstances and in the most difficult moments that I experienced significant growth. That's why I'm constantly working to change my perspective when I find myself in a tough season or struggling financially, questioning my purpose or worried about my future. Wherever God is, I'm changing my perspective, because when I can't see or feel anything and the situation becomes challenging, I choose to believe in faith that God is at work and doing something transformative. While we never asked for pain, we always sought divine blessings and favors. However, sometimes we find that God's favor can be found in the midst of suffering. It is in pain that we find salvation, and all redemption began with pain. Just as Jesus experienced on the cross, I could never be saved without the pain. When you hit rock bottom and realize that God is all you've got, that's when you decide He's all you really need. Psalm 32 verse 8 says, "I will instruct you and show you the way you should go. I will guide you with my eyes." This does not mean that God will lead you through the easiest and most comfortable path, but the best possible path. How many things has God bestowed upon us as He has led us through difficult roads? How many people have been saved through heartbreak as He led them as best He could, even if the journey was a little longer? I want to learn to find God's best way, even if it's not the easiest. For it is in God's best that we discover our full potential. It is in God's best that we prepare for what is to come. It is in God's best that we find full grace and true protection. We are under God's observation, and He is always advising us. That's how God works, and it's important that we realize that, especially when we find ourselves in the middle of a difficult situation. We often pray for God to remove it from our lives, but this is not always the case. God promises to walk with us through the storm, supporting and strengthening us. Let's remember the famous Psalm 23, where David declares, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. In green pastures He makes me rest and leads me to still waters." Even if we pass through dark valleys, we need not fear any danger. This verse is interesting because David recognizes that it is the same God who guides him to green pastures and still waters, who will also guide him through the valley of the shadow of death. The same God is with us in all circumstances. We must learn to trust God, not to complain, not to be discouraged, not to give up, but to trust that He is with us and has never abandoned us. Even if we can sometimes feel alone, even if we try that God has completely forgotten us, believe that, just as He prepared a table for David, He is also leading us through this difficult valley and preparing us for something great. Don't give up on the way to His blessing table. Many people give up and lose hope, feel where God is when they see nothing but darkness. But God is saying, "I prepare the table for you. I am leading you through this valley." Keep your faith anchored and hopeful, for I am working and watching you. You will be renewed and restored. I will run your cup over in the presence of your enemies. It is in difficult seasons that we are challenged to bring out the best in ourselves. At the moment, we cannot feel or see it clearly, but as we look back, we are shocked that it was during these times that our faith grew and we became the people God intended us to be. We become the people He wants us to be when we come to the table of blessings, the place where He wants our cup to overflow. Recognize that Christ lives in you. Even in the midst of a difficult season, there is supernatural power within you to bounce back, to get through this valley. You don't just fight for the sake of fighting. You don't become a bitter victim and constantly complain. Instead, shrug your shoulders and keep hope in the tough times. Be hopeful this season, knowing it's not the end of the story, but only part of the way. Have faith, anchored in God, for He is working in you and for you. Remember that God is always watching, caring, and guiding. Trust the process, trust the divine plan, because even in difficult seasons, God is with you, molding and preparing your way.